Rich or poor, wise or dull, Gravewarden Salad watches over them all. Welcome back, everybody. This is Un for another episode of I Played a Thing, Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin. And this is a good time to show off my new gesture, because I must beg your forgiveness for the technical problems last episode. It was just kind of a bad situation. As I mentioned in some comments and such, the video, the raw recording, got a little bit corrupted, and I was able to fix it, but by the time I discovered that it was causing problems with my edit points, well, I had already overwritten the backup of my save game, so I couldn't revert and redo the whole thing. I just kinda had to do my best with it as I could. At any rate, I hope it was still watchable anyway. And, in brighter news, I finally platinumed this game. Oh yeah. Anyway, last episode, we picked up the Red Iron Twin Blade, and I didn't have an opportunity to show that, so we will take a moment to do so. If I can find where the Twin Blades are hiding. Ah, there we are. A twin blade with heavy blades on each end, more suited to smashing foes than slashing them, requires a great deal of muscle to wield artfully. The twin blade closely imitates the design of a foreign-made weapon that has blades affixed to both ends of its hilt. Now this one has fairly stiff dex requirements, but most of its scaling is in strength, so it is more or less a strength twin blade, which is kind of unusual. And it is also, more interestingly, one of the weapons that's considered like the big three broken ones for PvP, the others being the Ice Rapier, which I discussed before, and the Chaos Blade, which has made a return from Dark Souls 1. The thing about the Red Iron Twin Blade, I'm not really sure what makes it OP. I don't really do PvP except when I really have to, and don't have much interest in it, so I don't really keep up on the meta. So if anyone has any insights into that, I'd certainly be interested in hearing it. But whatever the case, for that reason, it has been nicknamed the Wind Blade. Anywho, you may recall that our next goal was to continue on the trail of King Vendrick through the Undead Crypt where he seems to be hiding out. However, there is one other thing that we should do beforehand, and that's take the key to the Embedded to the Embedded. You may recall that the Embedded is that guy who's all bound up in chains at the top of the elevator in Central Castle Draglake. And he had a Milfanito caged up behind him. Now, in order to protect himself and others from his own depravity, we saw in the item description that the Embedded kind of chained himself up and was waiting for someone to come along and drive the key into him. Well, who better than us, right? Oh, by the way, I should mention that I am only wearing the Gravewarden top here, because, as I think I mentioned in a previous episode, no matter what I did, I just could not get them to drop their pants. Story of my life. But in practice it doesn't matter that much, because the Gravelord top, as you can see, is so long that the Gravewarden kilt hardly even shows up under it. So just to give us something on the feet, I've gone ahead and put on the Lion Warrior skirt instead, which likewise you really can't even see at all. Anyway, the Embedded is here, and no doubt senses his doom. That's the power of the Keyblade. I also have to note that the item description said that the Embedded was waiting for someone to come along and bury the key in his bosom, whereas our psychotic fiend here just shoved it right through his face. Well, that's our salad. And away she goes, leaving us the Ring of the Dead. The wearer of this ring appears human, even when hollow. They say that in the undead crypt we can reacquaint ourselves with the dead. We all suffer loss, and none of us can escape death. Then what is the fascination with reclaiming that which has already passed into the beyond? Well, a strictly cosmetic item that, but if you're ever doing fashion souls and want to have the normal... Oop. Oh, well, isn't that nice? As we head back down the elevator after making that rescue, we get a little serenade for our trouble. Anyway, as I was saying, if you want to look human and not all rotten, do a little fashion souls without spending an effigy on yourself, I guess you could devote a ring slot to that. Now then, having done our good deed for the day, we can go back to Amana and take a little self-interest out of it. Gotta head back down the tower here, but this should be the quickest way to get back to that first house that had one of the MILFs hiding out in it. I could also go back to the tower by the other bonfire, but that's behind the door of the dead, I think, so I would probably have to get myself killed in order to proceed through it, and I can't be arsed with that. Come on over. Archdrake, pay attention. You're worse than a genome soldier. Oh, there I go with my terrible backstab placement again. And we got a couple of lizards here that are pacified with the little ones, but if we don't kill them off, they'll follow us in when the MILF stops singing. We don't want that. We want our conversation uninterrupted. Howdy, ma'am. I brought your sister home.
We hear a song in the distance. You rescued a Milfanito, who was taken from us. Take this. We, Milfanito, thank you.
All in a day's work. And a divine blessing may not be a unique reward, but it is a pretty nice consumable item.
You quelled that cursed singing. They may be of no use outside, but please, take these.
And if we come back here after defeating the foreskin frog, we get another one. Much obliged. I think we could also get yet another divine blessing for the rescue if we go back and talk to the one behind the door of the dead, but I really cannot be arsed. So let's roll on right back up to the bonfire. And we will continue our descent into the undead crypt. Now, I should probably note that I tend to die once or twice in this area. There are a couple of rooms in the undead crypt that are full of gravestones, and those, the regular-sized ones will constantly spawn hollows at you, while the larger ones will summon Lady Pyromancers, who we have not met yet. But they will be a pain in the ass when we do. And just with all that going on, I tend to die once or twice there. For which I do beg your pardon. As I've said, if you're looking for a super play, you're watching the wrong channel, the wrong guy, but I do try to maintain at least something not entirely dissimilar to competence. Oh well, at worst you can consider this a guide to how to survive Dark Souls 2 as a relatively low-skill player. because in my advancing age I fully acknowledge that's what I am these days. But I do get through, and I do get through with reasonable thoroughness, so again, I hope you enjoy the journey all the same. Sir? There you go. Sometimes actually aggroing these guys can take a little work. They're rather slow to react and like to just hide behind their shields, but this time he was pretty responsive. We appreciate that. Go ahead, do your sandwiches. Oh shit, and recover surprisingly quickly. Oh, we got his armor, that's something new, I think. Alright, Imperious armor, where are you hiding? Oh, there we go. Armor worn by once proud knights, relics of a party who long ago attempted to conquer the undead crypt. For this act of conceit they will never rest in peace, and instead serve as crypt guardians. Well, I don't know, even for a bit of disrespect like that, eternity seems like an awfully long sentence, but well, these Grave Wardens are pretty serious. I mean, carrying a torch into Agdane's room carries a death sentence, so... Well, once again, I'm just gonna snipe down these Ladia Witches, and hopefully they'll give us one of their better drops this time. As I think I remember to mention before, they have quite a few drops, some of which are fairly interesting, especially their staff, which can be used to cast absolutely any spell in the game except for Pyromancy. Miracles, sorceries, staff hexes, chime hexes, it'll all come right out. And that is not something I expect to make use of in this particular playthrough, but I haven't decided what kind of direction I want to take New Game Plus, so you never know. Yeah, it doesn't look like they dropped anything from here, which is a shame. Oh, where'd you come from? Doesn't matter, you have terrible aim. Well, on the brighter side, as I mentioned last episode, if you come here in human form, you can bring back our old friend from Earthen Peak, Devotee Scarlet. And she's actually quite useful in this area, because this is a good map for enemies to creep up on you, and just having another extra pair of eyes, even if they're NPC eyes, to notice the enemies, can help out quite a bit. Protect you from some sneak attacks. Scarlet's also fairly tough. She can take some hits and keep on rocking. The only downside is she sometimes gets a little confused by the geometry around here. I have known her to walk off cliffs from time to time with no provocation. But then again, I suppose she wouldn't be a proper NPC summon if she didn't have that problem every now and then.
Human. Light.
I know, Agdane, quit your bitching. Try Torch and then be wary of Dark Spirit. Yes, there is a new gimmick here that was not present in the original game, and I'm not sure if it was in the patch version of Scholar either, but definitely in the re-release version of Scholar. Sometimes lighting up torches, or sconces rather, in the Undead Crypt. It won't piss off Agdane because he only gets bothered if you do that in his room, but sometimes it will produce Red Phantoms. Red Phantom Insolent Knights, to be precise. And I say bring them on, first because I always have to light my sconces, and second because the Insolent Knights aren't too hard to kill, and they have the unique property of sometimes dropping fragrant branches of yore, which is the only way you can get ones that are beyond the hard-coded ones. And having a few extra of those, never a harmful thing. There he is. Hey, friend. Oh, Scarlet with the kill steal. And we didn't get a branch drop or anything else. There are some other things they can drop, I recall, but... oh well, perhaps we'll get luckier next time. That's not the first of those guys. Or rather, I should say, not the last of those guys we'll be encountering. I don't want some jolly co-op right now, maybe another time. What we want to do right now is head down here. Looks like a death pit? Isn't. And in fact, there's usually a message here indicating that there's a place to go below here, but not this time. Apparently, I misremembered where that was. Well, that'll teach me to speak about anything confidently. Bear with me a moment, folks, and I'll get back to where I should be. Alright, good times, good times. Scarlet, you saw nothing. Yeah, I said I'd probably die here a few times, but, yeah, apparently recording luck is not just a thing, but it also damages my brain. This is where the drop-off is, although I'm still surprised that there is no message here. Also, there's a hollow, but we're not intimidated. Thank you, Scarlet. A rather nice haul there for a random treasure as well. Up this ladder we're going to have one of those wall ghosts. There may be some clever way to get past it without getting hurt through timing or some such. I've never really gotten it to work, so I just go up the ladder and take the hit. It does not pay to use the sprint button and climb the ladder quickly, because then if you get hit by the wall ghost it will usually knock you right off the ladder, and you may even die from the fall damage. We don't want any part of that. And for coming up here, we get a fire seed, which we don't need at this point, but more interestingly, we get a crushed eye orb. A crushed eye orb with an unfocused gaze. The crushed eye writhes unsteadily in search of dishonorable miscreants. Where are the fiends? Where are they? Where indeed? So, revenge on a miscreant. I'm sure we'll find one of those in due course. Now then, where else can we go from here? I think there's somewhere else it would be safe to fall down, but unfortunately I don't recall exactly where that would be. Well, let's shed some light on the situation. If I can remember where I put my staff. There we go. That does not appear to be a death pit. No, actually that is a death pit. That's not where we want to go. Is it on this side that we can... No, that's also death. I guess I have to do it from above, which means taking another hit from the ghost, but what can you do? Unless the ghost is just not paying attention, which is fine too. Ah, yes, we just have to drop back down on the path from here. Pay attention to those messages, they are trying to be helpful. Now then, there's another path around here that's not the obvious one, and I don't remember exactly where it is. Down there, huh? Well, let's go ahead and spark up, because if this is what I think it is, And my memory actually works correctly for a change, then we are going to need a torch shortly anyway. Yeah, this is the place. Be wary of torch, don't you dare. And we have a developer message saying don't you dare. And yet another don't you dare. Now the reason for that is, if you set this statue here on fire with a torch, then it will light up all kinds of lanterns throughout the area, and I believe trigger the appearance of every possible Insolent Knight. But like I said, I want to take those guys on anyway and get their potential drops. And also, I just like being able to see where I'm going. So screw it. Once again, bring it on. You can see all these torches along the walls begin to light up, throwing light all over the place in the undead crypt. And we get a brand new Insolent. The first of many. But he didn't live long, so I'm okay with that. Didn't give us a Fragrant Branch, but he gave us a Twinkling Titanite, and that's pretty damn good too. So now we're going to be seeing those guys all over the place now that we've lit up the whole joint, but again, that's okay. They might have some good stuff for us. And we've got an Imperius in here. Oh, he saw us quick. We got someone helping draw attention for us and doing the old pincher attack on him, and I'm okay with that. Right then, up we go. Some very nice consumables in this neighborhood. And if we pop on into this room, we get our next bonfire. Now, if I am not mistaken, what I'm looking out into right now is the first of those gravestone rooms. And what I do here is generally run Hellbent for Leather for the large tombstones that spawn the Lady of Pyromancers, and put my top priority as destroying those because they don't come back. It will not respawn, so if we destroy them, then we don't have to worry about them again even if we die. And I like those odds. Now, we also have bells around here, and the bells, if rung by hollows, which tend to make a beeline for them, do often cause Lady of Pyromancers to spawn en masse. So that's not good. But in my experience, having the bells rung is pretty inevitable, so I just don't worry about it too much. Some very nice upgrade material there. There goes one of the hollows attacking the bells. Oh, and there was another tombstone that I didn't catch. So we've got a Lady of Pyromancer on our ass now. And as you can see, they do in fact have pyromancy. But for my money, their sword attacks are actually the most dangerous thing about them. They're fast and they hit hard. But I've destroyed your grave, and now you can't come back again. And we got one of their robes, but right now, since there are going to be hollows continually popping out, I'm not going to worry about looking at that. We'll take care of that later. If you're lucky, they can drop their sword, which is the Blue Flame, a sword that can be used like a wand to cast sorceries. It is also the sword that was used by Armorer Dennis, who invaded us in the Iron Keep. That's a pretty neat sword. Not one that I would necessarily use, but not a bad thing to have. Lots of loot in here, too. Guess it's been buried with people. You do kind of have to watch the condition of your weapon in here. Destroying all those tombstones tends to wear it down pretty quick. I think we're headed right into another such room, which additionally has a lady, a witch. Oh! And apparently a wall ghost. So we got all kind of trouble in here, but as always I'm gonna put my focus on destroying these here tombstones, because once they're destroyed, they shall never bother us again. I'm gonna let Scarlet run some interference for me while I go find another one, because I know there's gotta be another tombstone in here. There it is. And we get a free upgraded knuckle ring. However, my sword is looking really beat up, so I want to keep using my greatsword, so time for a bit of the old repair powder. I think I just accidentally used two, but oh well. All that means is we now have a really repaired greatsword. I'm killing you just on general principle. Oh, shit! Got totally surprised by an insolent knight there. And as if that weren't enough to deal with, we've also been once again joined by the nameless usurper, who will be running into the room in a moment. I'm gonna go ahead and let Scarlet deal with the insolent over there. Well, no, she's gonna tie up the nameless usurper, and I'm okay with that too. Gives me a chance to take out the insolent knight, and then we can double team this one. This is the same nameless usurper we encountered in Dranglea Castle, so if you didn't recognize her last time, maybe you will this time. We got a Simpleton Spice from the Insolent, which is not bad at all. I'll take it. So I've been saying, lots and lots of loot in this area. Also interesting is, somewhere around here we've got an illusory wall. No, not there. Here it is. Thought you could be fancy, huh? Scarlet, you know what to do. And in here we get the Avalyn, which is thankfully much easier to acquire in this game than it was in Dark Souls 1. An extremely rare rapid-firing crossbow. Fire 3 successive bolts. Inflict heavy damage by making all 3 shots count. Fiorenza, the richest merchant in all of Volgan, recreated this lost weapon after reading of it in an old book. So this is not the original Avalyn, it's a recreation. Well, works just as well. Now what I want to do here is take a moment to get rid of that Lady Witch, and to attract the insolent knight that's hanging out up there. Yeah, in service to the cause, I'll take an affinity to the face, why not? I don't like to leave insolent knights alive. They do not respawn, so we can just get rid of them and be done with them. And that's the way I like it. Don't like eating lots of lightning damage, though. That part kind of sucks. So come on down! Oh, he's got scraps of life. I don't know that I've ever seen them cast that before. Interesting. That guy gave me a little more heat than I quite would have liked, but we shall press on. Now, here we have a corridor with lots of... Oh, we could actually see a wall ghost there before it came out. That's unusual. But yeah, we've got several wall ghosts here. I tend to just walk near the walls to draw them out so I can take them down and not have to worry about them anymore. Looks like you can actually see all of them before they pop out of the wall. Interesting. And we've got a couple of Imperious Knights here. Fighting two of these guys together is no fun at all, but somebody's got to do it. Scarlet, you can't guard break them. Her shields are just too damn big for that. Scarlet's taking some hits here, but it's okay really, because now that we have warmth, we actually have a pretty easy and reliable way to heal our NPC friends. Matter of fact, because I have 4 castings of that, I'm going to go ahead and drop one off right now to get my health up. Here you can see how it works. We cast it, it generates this floating flame, and in regular rhythmic pulses, it heals you a little bit at a time. And it has just got tremendous duration. It will sit there for far longer than you're ever likely to need it. Go ahead and let Scarlet get all the way topped up. The only downside to warmth, as I've mentioned, is that it heals enemies as well as you, so you do have to be a little careful about that, and we do have an invisible hollow here somewhere. There he is. Right, and down the hole here is going to be the third and last of the gravestone rooms, and I believe it is the one that has the most pyromancer graves in it, so that will be less than entirely fun, but we gotta do it, so let's do it. That's one. There's 2. Whoa, nice smash there, Scarlet. These guys aren't just pyromancers. Because of that blue flame, they can cast sorceries, and they've got some mean ones. They've got Soul Spear, which hurts a lot. Ran out of stamina there. Come on, break it down. There we go. Thank you for the backup, Scarlet. And somewhere around here we're going to have another gravestone down a dead end. Scarlet, out of the way, thank you. Gotta find that, gotta get rid of it. We do not want that spawning pyros on us. Oh, that's a bell. Did it already get broken? I don't remember breaking it. Did Scarlet do that? If so, wow, full marks for her. Oh, no, it must be over there, because I see another pyro coming. Damn, Scarlet, you are on point. Alright, that should be all of them. Now, if Scarlet will just let me get back down the hallway, and we can finish up with the room and be on our merry way. My sword looks like shit again, so... Ow, asshole. Kind of burning through the repair powder, but it's there to be used. And if memory serves, there's really not that much of the crypt left. We're getting pretty far on. We got one of the insolent weapons. So that'll be another thing to look at when we've got the time. Now, progress is easy to find here. It's just down this hallway with the channel running down the middle. Oh! Massive pincher attack. I like it. And another Twinkie. It's not a fragrant branch, but I ain't complaining. Now there is something up here that you absolutely do not want to miss. Oh shit! Where'd that... Oh, there's an insolent hiding over there. Cheeky bastard. Where are you? Oh, I see him moving. I see him moving. Now stick your idiot head out again. The only idiot here is me. Now, back near the entrance to the Undead Crypt, we do have another insolent here who was not here previously, because of course we hadn't lit the statue light at the time. So we'll just leave that in, and I'll take him out. And yes, we did light up another bonfire previously. But I wanted to go back to the beginning so I could pick up Scarlet again. Don't like going through this area without my buddy. Once I take out the insolent here, which we will do in mid-flight, acquiring another spice for our trouble, I'm going to go ahead and proceed back to where I left off, and I will see you then. Oh yes, and we've got two new insolents in the double Lady Witch room here, so another couple of folks to take out on camera. Yeah, trading shots with those lightning spears, really not working out for me. I should probably not do that. That's what I like to see. And one more for the road. See if I can get poison on him before he can really react. Shit, too slow. Those lightning spears. These guys must have a good cast speed, and it doesn't look like they get poisoned either, unless they just have a high poison resistance and I'm not getting quite enough arrows pumped into them. Well, one of those random criticals from the engraved bracers certainly doesn't hurt at all. Oh, they can drop bonfire ascetics too. Looks like all their drops are high-quality loot. Anyway, we will cut out once again, and I will rejoin you when I have recovered my progress. Oh, spoke too soon. Here's that shithead that blew us off the cliff. There's another one! My god, these guys breed faster than you can kill them. Get him, Scarlet. I thought Scarlet might get a railing kill there, which would have been pretty awesome if she did, but... Nope, that ain't happening. Now where's the shithead below us? Oh, he's come up to play. That makes my life easier. Good hustle there, Scarlet. Oh, I got their mace and their shield. Cool. No complaints here. And there is my bloodstain, a little ways off, but hopefully we can get back to it without any more mishap. Fingers firmly crossed. Okay, we've had a few minor cases of NPC pathfinding on Scarlet's part, but overall this hasn't gone too bad. And we got our generous soul pile back, for which I am very relieved indeed. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put on a protection ring because, yeah. Don't want to lose all that dough. And right here is a lever that you do not want to miss. If you pull that, this here stone bridge falls down, giving you a very nice shortcut back to the end of the crypt here from the second bonfire, which is good to have on multiple levels. This is a place we will need to return to for several reasons. For now, though, we can proceed onward to the big final room. Now, under the stairs here, there is a bell. There is a hollow, who I meant to stop from ringing the bell, but kind of screwed up. Also an invisible hollow. Now, optimally, you want to stop that hollow from ringing the bell there, but if he manages to do it, or one of the other couple of hollows that's wandering around here manages to do it, it's not the end of the world. I hear another hollow. Oh, yep, they really do make a beeline for that bell. The basic hollow AI must be programmed to seek those out. Anyway, you want to avoid that if you can, because if they do succeed in ringing that bell, you're going to have a bunch of Lady of Pyromancers get summoned from the graves here. Guess you could consider those mausoleums, but it's not the end of the world because you can pretty easily bait them towards you with an arrow, and they will approach and you can pick them off one at a time, which when dealing with enemies of this caliber is always to be preferred. And we will just go ahead and repeat that process for the rest of them that have come out. Oh, no, this isn't any terrible thing. Whoop. Mind the sorcery. Yeah, all in all, this isn't a terrible thing, because it means some extra souls and possibly some extra drops. And we got the blue flame. Very cool. So we'll have lots of equipment to look at when we get done in this section. These guys approach so slowly that you can actually pick them off completely with arrows in addition to just baiting them. A lot of the time. Was that one more up there? Yeah, we got one more up there. Alright, piece of cake. Now up ahead we've got also a couple of royal guards, and we've got a dragon rider in the middle. And we don't really want to tangle with the dragon rider while we've got other enemies bothering us. Fortunately, you can bait out the guards separately. They will happily come down and accommodate you in that regard. And once we've got that situation sorted out, then a single dragon rider shouldn't be too big of a problem. And we get yet another spare greatsword too. Don't see ever needing that many of them, but we'll call it a collection. You know what, I think these guys are vulnerable to strike damage, so let's see if this... Well, Scarlet's kind of bringing the strike damage herself. Tanking for me, too. Yeah, Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. Now then, Scarlet, you have been extremely helpful, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to dismiss you at this time. It's not anything you did. We're just trying not to gang up on the bosses too much, and we've got a boss ahead. So thank you ever so much for your service. You take care, huh? No, what we want to do is bring in as our single NPC assistant here our newest buddy, Grave Warden Agdane. That's a hell of a sword you got there, buddy. Almost as impressive as mine. Agdane is wielding a weapon called the Crypt Black Sword, which normally you can't get into New Game Plus unless you use an ascetic. It is a dark weapon, which requires stats in Strength, Dexterity, Intelligence, and Faith. Does dark damage, can be infused with dark and also buffed with dark for a shitload of dark damage per hit. Very damaging weapon if you set it up correctly. The downside is, despite being an ultra greatsword, it has a great axe moveset, and that is very vertically oriented, and I'm not a huge fan of it. Of course, for folks who like their strikes concentrated in a single spot instead of sweeping, that could be a feature instead of a bug, but for me, it means I just want to stick with my regular old greatsword more often than not. Just not a huge fan of the great axe moveset. A lot of the time I actually forget these chests are here and just leave them in the darkness. But not this time. None of them are all that interesting, I think, except for the Fragrant Branch. But we'll take utility items. I ain't proud. Now then, we've got here our boss room. Now, you remember the tale of King Vendrick's left and right-hand men, Velstadt and Rhaim? Well, you may recall from the Rebel Great Shield that Rhaim and Velstadt had a little falling out, and Rhaim left the service of King Vendrick. But, yeah, the king, as you might guess, has his best guys on the job protecting him in his hidey hole. So with that in mind, you've probably guessed who our next opponent will be. Yep, it's Vendrick's final line of defense, Velstadt, the Royal Aegis. Now that kick of his is his big guard-breaking move, takes off a lot of stamina, but we've got so much stamina that it can't break our guard outright. Other than that, he's a pretty straightforward opponent. He just uses that big bell on a stick of his to try and smash you with. Oh! Poorly timed dodge on my part. Thank you for running interference while I heal there. And yes, his weapon is just a big old bell, and I do love the ringing gong that happens when he swings it at you. Another thing that Demon Souls veterans may notice is that his helmet, and the fact that he uses a huge smashy weapon, gives him a certain resemblance to Garl Vinland. Probably no actual connection, but you can consider it a callback if you like. When Velstadt loses a certain amount of health, a little less than 50% I believe, he powers himself up with dark magic and gets really strong. He does additionally get one dark magic attacks, but in my experience he doesn't actually use it that often. Mainly he just uses the same old moves, but they become much more powerful. So some respect is certainly warranted. Agdane's doing a pretty great job drawing aggro for me. Of course, every time I get aggro on me, I seem to be taking it in the face. If I don't step up my game a little bit, Agdame won't be around much longer, and we don't want that. Damn. He's just hitting me left and right. Gotta step it up. Ugh. Fortunately, he doesn't tend to be super aggressive. Oh, there's that dark magic attack I mentioned. Just a big old blast of dark orbs. Fortunately, nothing unmanageable. Do gotta be careful now, though, because I don't have a friend backing me up anymore. As long as you play it reasonably careful with Velstadt, he isn't too bad. He's not super aggressive, and he's not super fast. He just has some combos that are a little deceptive, because they come out slow, so you might think he's done attacking, but he's going to try and go for another hit. But on the subject of hits, just a few more ought to be enough to put paid to him. Well, just one more, because I got a lucky critical. Yeah. Alright, we should be safe here, so let's go ahead and take a look at our new boss soul. And we've got a couple other items as well that we can take a look at. Oh, and look at that soul. It's very dark, much like Artorias in the previous game. Not entirely sure what that means. Soul of the Velstadt, defender of the king inside the undead crypt. Velstadt was always at his king's side, as if he were his lord's own shadow. After the king retired to the undead crypt, Velstadt followed, never to return. They say the king retired to the undead crypt, so he's been hanging out here for a while, hasn't he? Enough so that it's been mentioned also that Velstadt never returned. So what exactly is going on here? We'll find out in a moment, but first let's check out some of the new equipment we've picked up. We've got the Ladia robes. Robe of a Ladia Pyromancer. Ladia apostles, in their conceit, occupied the undead crypt and misused death. This invoked the ire of the Finito, who branded them as transgressors. We've also got the Blue Flame. Straight sword wielded by Ladia apostles, imbued with a special magic that makes the Blue Flame both a sword and magic catalyst. Executes a strong attack to emit magic. The Ladia apostles, adept at magic, wielded unique weapons, but were hunted down as traitors. We also picked up the Insolent Mace, so let's see where that ended up hiding. Here we go. The Mace of formerly high-ranking clerics. It is combined with a sacred chime, and can cast miracles and hexes with strong attack. The clerics held venerated positions once, but now their souls wander aimlessly in the depths of a murky darkness. So that's another weapon that can also be used as a spell tool. Lots of those around here. And finally, when I was recovering my progress off-screen, I did finally get from one of the witches the Black Witch's Staff. A staff used by Ladia witches imbued with a special magic, making it a catalyst for sorceries, miracles, and hexes. Ladia apostles are adept at magic and wielded unique weapons, but were deemed blasphemous and slaughtered. Now, seems like a lot of folks good at magic in Ladia, but not big fans of it in the general culture. Well, enough of that. We've achieved victory over the king's final guard, and that means, at long last, we get to meet the king himself. Oh my. Oh dear me. Well, I guess it is appropriate for the king to be keeping company with the dead. Vendrick, it appears, has gone completely hollow. And wow, what an appropriate guy to have a war with the giants. Look at the size of him. We don't even come up to his waist. Hell of a sword, too. Must have been an amazing guy in his prime. It's a damn shame. Your Majesty. Now, you might be wondering what happens if I attack Vendrick here. He is an optional boss, but we can't take him on at this point. See, there is something that we have to do in order to be able to fight him properly. That involves collecting and bringing giant souls. See, normally Vendrick's defense is absolutely ridiculous. So high that it's hard to even scratch him. But having the souls of giants, just having them in your inventory, weakens him in their presence. I guess the hatred of the giants persists even in their souls. And what you need is, each soul of a giant weakens his defenses somewhat, and having 5 of them will bring him down to normal. So with just one soul of a giant, that would make him a little bit more vulnerable, but his defense is still going to be sky high. So what we're going to need to do is bring more souls of a giant when we are able to track them down, and then we can come back and finally put His Majesty to rest. Now, there was a glitch, or at least I think it was a glitch, in the original release of the game, where if you came here and picked a fight with him immediately after Velstadt, he would have normal defense, and you could do without all the soul gathering. However, that has been removed in Scholar. In Scholar, it's actually impossible at this point to even aggro him. You can attack him all day and nothing will happen, and he won't take any damage. So if we picked a fight with him right now, well, we would just bounce off of him with no effect. So there's only one thing we can really do here right now, and that's take his ring. A soul is much like a curse, and those with strong souls must bear within themselves an even stronger curse. Vendrick, King of Dranglake, used a powerful soul to keep the curse at bay. In the end, he sought the flame that began it all. Wear this ring to open the king's gate. Yeah, remember all those giant black gates we found that say, produce the symbol of the king when you approach them? We can now open those. And so that is going to be our next avenue to progress. So for now, we shall bid the hallowed and fallen king farewell, and proceed on our way. Emerald Herald, what are you doing here?
This ring is the symbol of the king. Use it to gain passage through the king's gate and venture to the far east. Bearer of the curse, if you are to be the next monarch, then one day you will walk those grounds without really knowing why.
Wait just a minute here. You keep talking about becoming the next monarch, but do we really care about that? And I don't want to walk those grounds one day without even knowing why. I don't want to end up like that. The whole purpose here is to get rid of this curse. I want you to explain yourself. Nothing. Well, doesn't that just figure? Well, it's not like we can just walk out on Drang Lake the same way we came in, so once again, I guess there's nothing for it but to keep on in the way we're going. Well then, folks, we are just about done for the day, but while we're here, we can take a look at the things that we could potentially make from Velstad's soul. We have an option at Ornifex, and we have an option at Strayed. I believe I'm going to take the Strayed option, so let's head on back to Ornifex's place first of all. Hey, Orny.
What can I do for you?
What we can make here is old Velstad's big bell on a stick, aka the Sacred Chime Hammer. Great hammer of the Royal Aegis. The power of this hammer's blessing has not faded completely, despite its being exposed to the dark of the undead crypt. Unleash its latent power with a strong attack. Sir Velstad, known as the Royal Aegis, gave himself to the king in both life and death. In death, huh? Guess Velstad was hollow too. Still loyal, though. Anything I want to buy while I'm in the neighborhood? Let's grab the blossoms. We can afford it.
Come back again if you find another soul.
We most certainly will. And now then, off to Strayed to make our actual trade. For this we can get Sacred Oath, which takes up a spectacular 4 attunement slots, and also requires 25 faith, so we certainly won't be using it this time. Maybe next time around. But in any case, this is such a good miracle that I want to grab it over the Sacred Chime Hammer anyway. An ancient miracle said to have been devised by warriors who once served the god of sun. Provides a temporary boost to the attack and defense of its caster and all nearby allies. So yes, it is a substantial attack and defense boof for both you and your friends, and that's why it's so expensive in terms of attunement slots. Oh, you know what? I just remembered something else. I think after we've beaten Velstad, we can get some new things from Agdane at his spot in the crypt. So, excuse me for just a moment, I'm gonna make a run back there.
Human life.
And here we are again. Can't remember if he has any new dialogue, but we'll find out in a moment.
What do you require, human? You have met the king, have you? Life is never easy, never fair. Even more so on this path you've chosen. May you find your peace one day. Take these with you. You may need them as proof of your visit here.
Oh. We get his gear, and his katana named Darkdrift. I don't think you ever actually see him using Darkdrift, because as you saw, he had the Crypt Black Sword when we summoned him, and I think if you aggro him here, he will also use it to attack you. So I don't know what the deal is there.
In the past, the form, how quick.
Alright, that's all he's got to say there. About items. Nope, same stuff. We can pick up some extra effigies. A little bit pricey, but We have lots of souls from our previous run and from Velstadt, so what the hell.
Farewell, human.
Later, bro. And we're reasonably safe here, so we can go ahead and take a look at his equipment. Oh, that's right, I also found the shield of the Insolent, so let's track that down. There we go. The shield of formerly high-ranking clerics. The effects of a blessing are still with it, and the shield recovers one's stamina. The clerics held venerated positions once, but now their souls wander aimlessly in the depths of a murky darkness. Another stamina recovery shield. Now then, where is Darkdrift? That will be with the other katanas, of course. Katana of Graveward and Agdane. Has a crystal-clear blade and a strong attack that slices through enemy shields. This katana was originally wielded by the one who gave us the first death, and still exists imperfectly between planes. Wow, Nito used a katana back in the day? Never against us, he had a big-ass sword, but, wow, an operatic singer? A master of Hanzo steel? That Nito was a real Renaissance man. And as for the equipment, where is Agdane's gear? Seriously, where is Agdane's gear? Ah, there we are, at the very end. Agdane's black robe. Life itself is suffering, or karma, as some have called it. The embrace of death awaits all things, but does death mean an end to suffering? Rather Buddhist take on the whole thing. Mind you, I'm not exactly an authority on Buddhism, so I could be talking out my ass there. Alright then. Let us go ahead and spend some of these souls on a few levels, and then I think we'll be about ready to call it for the day. Actually, well beyond that. I'm not sure how much I'll have to cut out, but I think we'll be still going well over the hour mark, but that's okay, we can.
Bearer of the curse until...
Now then, we need strength, that's for sure. I'm gonna want to increase my vitality a bit too. So that'll make it easier to wield that great Havel shield of ours. Let's see if we can do that. We totally can. Awesome. Alright then, folks. Thank you very much for watching. Apologies as always for the stupid deaths, but I hope they were entertaining at least. This has been Un, for another episode of I Played a Thing, Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin. Hope you've had fun, and I'll see you again very soon, and we'll try out our new giant slab of stone. Till then. We at I Played a Thing would like to show some love once again to such generous patrons as Justin Carpenter, Nolden, Zangamarth, Charlie Dunst, Anonymous Benefactor, John Madigan, Johnny Millennium, Sanguine Games, Misha Van Doren, Craig Patterson, Frank Grizzy, Tim J, Lolo De Puzzlo, Joshua C. Ritchie, Jared C. Rice, Darren Chow, Sonic Rose, EX Potemkin, Alicia Goranson, Argyle Jelly, Mechasaurus, D.G. Jono, Doug Russell, and August Fortnight. Much love also going out to our other generous patrons, and to all of you wonderful subscribers, commenters, and watchers. Thank you very much, it helps out a lot, and I hope the coming week treats you very well.